All right, welcome back here to our series on AJAX and the world's best AJAX demo. This is video 2. In video 1, we just set up our initial site, files, FTP access, got our VS Code workspace situated, got everything we need to now actually build this out. And where we left off is we do have a domain, ajax.10minutewebdev.com, that is connected to our web space. And this file that we see right here, the HTML for it, is posted on that web space. So in this video, we're going to work on the HTML. We're going to build the web form or the input field, and then we're going to give the page some layout, give it some bootstrap tags to make it look good. And our goal being to eventually have a web page that looks like this. So you can see we've got our input field, a header, and then we have, just to do an example, we have a video that we could play live, and then the user, and this is where the AJAX comes in, they would search here and it would query the database, get results back. So we do have an HTML table here that we're going to dump the results into. So for this video we are going to pick up where we left off, which was right here, and then we are going to make it look like this without the functionality, and then in the subsequent videos we are going to add the PHP, the MySQL, the JavaScript, which drives the whole AJAX experience. So to pick it back up where we left off last, we have this web page right here, just a simple bootstrap template. We have did modify the title tag, and then we have a default H1 tag. So we need to add the necessary HTML to get the page looking, not yet working, but looking like our example. So we are going to pick up by getting right into the HTML of this page, and then we are going to add some tags and make it look like our example. So I'm just going to hit enter a couple of times after our H1 tag. We don't really need this H1 hello world anymore. We will add a header tag, but we're just going to get rid of that placeholder for now. And if you're familiar with Bootstrap, most of the pages do get wrapped with this container div. So div class equals container. Everything we put into our page, in this example anyhow, will be contained within this container, and it will give the page kind of a good layout, some margin padding around. In this specific example, it's not going to take the full width of the screen. It's going to automatically keep things centered. And then within that, we're going to put our H1 back. But we are not just going to make it a generic H1 tag. We are going to give it a class display4. This will give it some size and some style. And then we're going to give it another class text-center, which will center it on the page, and then we're going to give it some top margin, and we'll just say margin 5, and then we're going to close it. So this is our page header, and what do we want that page header to say? We're going to try to keep it pretty similar to the demo, so we're just going to call it top 5,000 songs of all time with the AJAX demo. So going back here, we're just going to paste that in here, and I believe we did have a new line character. So that seems pretty straightforward. If we save it, and we'll go back over here. So now our page is starting to look like our AJAX demo. So after the header, we need to kind of create a layout where we have columns and rows. So we're going to do a div class equals row. And we're going to close the row off, and then within that row, and I think we're probably only going to have one row here, we're going to have 2 columns. And if we look at our example, you can see the first column is wider than the second column, and that is just where the the brains of the page happens. This column just does nothing more than contain a video for the purpose of showing that we are not refreshing the page every time we perform a search. So the way rows and columns work in Bootstrap is we have one row, and then we're going to have a column in it. Div class equals col, MD8 I'm going to put, and then we're going to close that. My tabs are still a little wonky. And then we're going to do another div class equals call MD8. So the Bootstrap rows and columns, they give you 12 columns to work with. So you could do call-md-1. You could do 12 of those, and then you're going to have 12 columns of equal width. Or you can break it apart and use the total of 12 any way you want. So we're going to use 12, and we're going to make this 2/3 of the page, and this will be 1/3 of the page. And the -MD is defining a breakpoint. So at what point do we want the column on the right to fold over and be under the column on the left instead of next to? And that basically means when you're on mobile, what's it going to do? We'll take a look at that. It's not really important for what we're doing here right now. So we are going to work within the call MD8, and we're just going to have a header tag, and we're just going to call it song search. And then we're going to close that off. So our song search just had an input field. So input type equals text. This will be a text input. And then the class equals form control. That's a pre-built Bootstrap styling. So it's going to make it look good. And then we also, obviously, if it's an input field, we want to give it an ID and a name. So we're going to give it an ID. We'll just call it data. ID equals data. And name equals data. And this could be anything you want within reason. We'll give it a placeholder. And we'll just say wildcard search. So before anybody types anything into that, it's just going to clue them in that, hey, this is a wildcard search. And then we are also going to do something like this. So on key up. So on key up means what's going to happen with every key that gets lifted. So if the user presses a letter, they lift up, this is going to happen. The on key up function, we can just call it search. So on key up, it's going to run this function called search. So what is this function? It's going to be a JavaScript function. We're going to put this in the head tag. And just for example, now we are going to put the script tags. We're going to call it function search. Get too many brackets there. And we are just going to, just to prove that it works, because this isn't the JavaScript video, it's the HTML video. Key up happened. We are going to do a JavaScript alert dialog that's just going to say key up happened. So we know a key up has happened. So this all looks pretty good. So we have our input field. They're going to press a button. Something's going to pop up to tell them that they pressed a button. In addition to that, what we want to eventually have happen is the results from the search, the AJAX search. We need to populate somewhere. So what I usually do is create a div tag like so that we're going to leave it empty now, and then we're going to put an HTML table into it, and then eventually we're going to replace that HTML table with the result set from our AJAX query. So just for demo right now, I'm not going to bore you by typing this HTML table out. I am just going to copy in a HTML table. And we'll get the tabs going pretty good. So what this will do for us is give us a rough outline on how the page is going to look. So we're going to have a header, then we're going to have some rows of data. This will eventually be replaced with live AJAX data. So if we save that, we can bounce over here. And you can see their table. It doesn't look that great. The spacing's not good yet, but we will fix that. Let's actually fix that now. So class equals table, table striped, and let's go table bordered. So these are Bootstrap things. It's just going to make the table look a whole lot nicer. There we go. So now we've got headers, we got the rows. Again, we're going to fill this with live data soon enough. And let's also give it a margin Y3. So we're going to create some separation. See how it kicked that down. So the only thing we have left for this video is to create this right side live playing YouTube video to prove that we are not refreshing the page with every search that happens. So to do that is pretty simple. We bounce out to YouTube. I found one of my videos. We can hit the share button. We can hit embed. We can hit copy. This is going to grab the HTML to embed this. And if we go down, we just want to put that. We'll call it live proof. AJAX proof. So this proves the page is not being refreshed. So we should have a video here. We should have our table, which we saw. The onKeyUp is calling a function called search, which just does an alert keyup happened. So I'm going to save this, upload it, and now we're going to bounce out here and give it a test. So here we have our live video. If I search, I'm just going to type in K. Keyup happened. So our JavaScript function are called onKeyUp. The header, the table here obviously didn't change data because we didn't retrieve any data yet, but for the HTML purposes of this page is pretty much good to go. So I can back that up and you see every key up, it's going to pop up that alert. So that's pretty much it for this video. We've got everything we need in place to go on to the next step, which I think will probably be the JavaScript function, which calls the AJAX, and then we will begin grabbing the data that's input by the user, passing it to a server, getting back result set, and then echoing through to this table. So be sure to check out the next videos in this series, and as always, like and subscribe.